All right, so one can find an equation that's parallel or perpendicular to a given equation using the definition of parallel and perpendicular we just saw, where for parallel, the slopes are equal, so m1 equals m2, and perpendicular, m1 equals the negative 1 over m2. And then the slope-intercept formula, okay? So that's going to be a key thing to be able to do. So first, we have to find the parallel slope or the perpendicular slope, and then we can plug it into the slope-intercept formula, and we can get the new thing. But first, let's first test and see if we can even find the slopes and equal slopes or negative reciprocals. So to find the slope of the given line, then find the slope of a line parallel to and then perpendicular to the given line. Okay, well here, what is our slope? Well, our slope is equal to 4. So m is equal to 4. And so therefore, we're going to call that M1. And so M1 equals M2 for parallel lines. And so that's going to be a 4 as well for the parallel line. Now the perpendicular line, that's going to be M1 equals 1 over M2, and it's going to be the negative of it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, now this is going to be negative 1 over, and then we put a 4 here. So negative 1 over 4. If you think about it, 4, take the reciprocals 1/4. The negative is negative 1/4. So that's perpendicular, and that's parallel. And this is how you represent parallel, and this is how you represent perpendicular. Well, now the next one is not so easy because we don't have it set up in a slope-intercept formula form. And so what we're going to do first is subtract our 7x. Now we have y equals negative 7x minus 2. Now we can pull that slope right out of here, and slope is equal to a negative 7. So for the parallel line, we get m is equal to a negative 7 because it's going to be equal to that. And for the perpendicular line, then what we're going to have is m is going to be equal to the reciprocal, so it's going to be 1 over 7, and the opposite. So it's going to be positive because this is negative, so this becomes positive, and so we just get the 1/7. Okay. And so that's how you find the slopes for parallel and for perpendicular lines to the given one that they have in the problem. All right, so this one looks a little bit more complex. So first we have to get that y by itself. So let's subtract our 3x. So now we have 4y equals, now we have minus 3x minus 8. Now we have to divide everything by 4. So y equals a negative 3 over 4x minus 8 divided by 2. Our 4 is 2. And so this is our slope. For parallel, m is going to be negative 3/4. For perpendicular, it's going to be m equals, well, it's going to be opposite of that, so it's going to be positive, and the reciprocal, so it's going to be 4/3. Okay, so it's easy to find reciprocals, it's easy to find the equal, and in both cases, we get our slopes for the other lines. Same thing goes here. We have to subtract that 8x this time. So we have a negative 3y equals negative 8x minus 9. So divide by negative 3. And we get y equals, now negative divided by negative is positive, so we get 8/3 x, and again another positive, and that's going to be 3. So m for the parallel is going to be equal to what? Well, it's just going to be equal to that, so 8/3. Now for the perpendicular, it's going to be m is equal to the opposite of that, so it's going to be a negative, and the reciprocal, so 3/8. Okay. Now what about this one? Well, here again, we have to get rid of that x. So we'll subtract x from both sides. So 2y equals negative x, and now we have plus 8. Now we divide everything by 2, and so y equals a negative 1/2 x plus 4. So for parallel, m is equal to, well, it's equal to that, 1/2, negative 1/2. And for perpendicular, it's going to be m is equal to the opposite, so it's going to be a positive, and the reciprocal of 1 over 2 is 2 over 1, which is just equal to 2. Okay. So that's how we look at the original equation, find the slope of that equation, and then from there we can find the slope of the parallel or the perpendicular equation. All right, what about ones where we just have points? Okay, well, so we're given below are descriptions of two lines. Find the slope of each line. Are the lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Well, so in this case, what we have to do is we have to find the slope of this line, and we have to find the slope of that line, and then we have to determine if they're equal, negative reciprocals, or neither one of them, okay? So what are we going to do? Well, for let's say M1, because we'll use 1 here, the slope's going to be equal to, well, we'll take our 10 minus our 15 over 1 minus our 2. So we're just taking the point x2 or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we simplify. So 10 minus 15 is negative 5, 1 minus 2 is negative 1, and so that's equal to 5. Okay, and we'll call that M1 again and M2. Well, M2, well, that's going to be negative 3 minus 7 over negative 1 minus 1. So minus 3 minus 7 is minus 10. Minus 1 is minus 2. Well, that becomes positive. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So those are equal. So this is parallel lines. Okay. So that's how we have to work through it. We just have to figure out the slopes and then compare them and see what they are. And this time they were parallel lines because M1 equals M2. All right, let's pause there and come back for more.